Serj, I want to thank you for finding time in your, I'm sure, very busy schedule to talk to us. Let's start with the film Spitak. You are behind the sound recording of the film, the soundtrack of the film. A film that's very personal and tragic for every Armenian because it talks about, it tells the story of the earthquake. What was it like to write a music to that film?
It was not an easy film to do, I'll be honest. It was a very difficult film to work on. Emotionally, it was very, draining. And trying to come up with something that's, Sasha, the director, Alexander Kot, wanted something that's very much Requiem-esque, and but at the same time he wanted me to keep certain elements light and hopeful, and that's the tough balance to play musically. So I think we were able to do that successfully together through this adventurous process of writing the music for Spitak. But yeah, it was not an easy task. It was a challenge.
Armenia has nominated the film for the Oscar in the foreign film category, and do you think the film has a chance to make it to the short list and potentially even winning the Oscar?
I think the film does have a chance because I think it's very rare that films like this are made. First of all, the production is pretty huge. To show a devastated city on camera these days is very difficult. I mean, it's rare to get that kind of funding, and to show the totality of that devastation of a city, and those type of productions are rare. So, and it's such an emotional film. It's such a unique film that I think it's going to have resonance among people that are not Armenian, that are Academy goers and stuff. I definitely think there's a chance.
So you're mostly happy with how the film turned out and how your music laid on the visuals that the director, the final product, or you felt like there was?
I think, look, there'll always be disagreements as to how the music works with the film. Ultimately, the director is at the helm and they make the decision, and that's the thing. If I was to have it my way, it would sound more like the soundtrack. In other words, the soundtrack has a more diverse more diverse colors of cues, music for Spitak. So the soundtrack is a kind of better representation of the composer's cut, if you will, musically. If that doesn't exist, of course. But I'm thankful that I was able to kind of work with Sasha and on this film and create the type of themes that needed to be created for these elements. But yeah, I mean, I would always do things differently if I could. On any record, on any project.
There is no limit to the perfection, right?
Yeah, totally.
And unrelated, but again, very shocking and kind of tragic story that you were filming with Anthony Bourdains, Parts Unknown in Armenia, and few months later we hear the shocking news of his death. How shocking was that for you?
It was very shocking. It was very sad, and to have two friends pass from in the same way within the same year, Chris Cornell as well earlier, was really it kind of threw me out of my loop, out of my orbit. Really, I suspected neither of them would, be in that place because, my contact with Chris the last time I saw him, which was a month before he passed, was very positive. He had a lot of plans, all of that stuff. With Bourdains, I only spent, 5-6 days in Armenia with him. I didn't know him as well as Chris, but I had no feeling of anything amiss. But such is life. It was very sad. He was very proud of the Armenia episode. He kept on telling me, I'm really happy we did this. He was very encouraged by it. He was the type of person that hated hypocrisy, and for him the denial of the Armenian genocide in the United States was a huge hypocrisy, and he actually fought that battle more than it's not something I even brought up. It's something that he really wanted to take the mantle on. And if you saw his interviews with Anderson Cooper on CNN before the show was aired, and a lot of those, him just basically saying, this is ridiculous, this is hypocritical, I think he was a very powerful person. You know, he had that same hate for injustice that I have and that other friends of mine have. And that's why I really wanted him to go to Armenia, experience the beauty of Armenia, and at the same time, you know, the tragedy of our history, etc.
Thank you very much. And to end the English portion on a positive note, you are known as a family man, very supportive husband, a good father. Tell us a bit about your family.
I usually keep family out of the press, but I love having a family. It gives me a different reason to exist, more so than my art and my music, which has always kind of funneled my enthusiasm. But having a child obviously changes your life. It's redundant to say, but it's important to me to have a good family and have great, you know, be able to give a home to, you know, a beautiful child and see that child grow, like, on a daily basis. I mean, I give up work so I can spend time with my kid.
Yeah.
I give up work so I can just hang out with him.